we're going to have Chief Worth and our building official where's he at? Down here. They're going to try to answer some of your questions that you have the second half. If there's time, we'll do some back and forth or some rebuttal questions if you have follow-up questions to try to get through this and answer as many questions and concerns that we have as possible. There is a request for Councilmember King to appear virtually. Is there any objection?
Without objection.
None.
I do not have any. Do we need to take a vote on that? No?
It's preferable, yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to allow Councilmember King to appear virtually.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Allers, second by Vice Mayor Adderholt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next, we have the invocation. Chief Worth is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance after the invocation.
We meet today to focus on the very best that can happen for our lives. Show us what we need to do this day. Give us strength physically, mentally, and emotionally. Help us to successfully meet every aspect of our lives. We ask to be inspired with creative and dynamic ideas and trust we are guided so that we can meet our lives with joy and confidence. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Start us out.
All right. The first name I have on the list is Rick Mindeman from Santa Maria. Mindman? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. If you'll step up to the podium. Rick, are you out there? Okay.
Basically, we're over at the Santa Maria condos.
Rick, if you mind, just for the record, state your name. And
Rick
pull your microphone up to your mouth. So
Rick Mindeman.
And Rick, if I could, Mr. Mayor, I think it would be helpful for everybody, for us to introduce ourselves so everybody knows our building manager and others. And
yeah, sorry.
This won't come out of your time.
We'll start down here.
All right. I'm Amy Baker. I'm the town clerk.
My name is Nancy Stuperich, and I'm an attorney with the Vos Law Firm, and we have the privilege, the pleasure of serving as town attorney.
My name is Joe Specht. I'm the building official for the town.
Karen Woodson, town council.
Dan Allers, Town Council.
Jim Adderholt, town council.
Scott Worth, fire chief at the fire department, and also online, our fire official is the one who handles life safety and planning and permitting. So she's joining us online. That's Jennifer Campbell.
Andrew Hyatt, town manager.
Thanks, Rick. We'll start the clock over, I promise.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Like I said, we're at the Santa Maria condos on the south end of the islands. And as we understand it, we think the milestone study has to be completed in 2024, along with the SIRS. And there has been some talk that it might be extended into 2025, or is that the rule? That we have to have it completed in 2024?
Okay. We're going to take all the questions down, and then we'll have these guys answer them after all the public comment.
And one other thing, we were extended water pressure from the road, not needing to have our fire pump replaced at that time, but I understand they gave us a year to get that done. And what's the rule on that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. I have Steve Bruns from Caper Beach Club.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. My name is Steve Bruns. I'm with Caper Beach Club, 2810 Estero Boulevard, 2800. Also with me today is Bob Getz, who's our president. I'm a member of the board. Don't really have any concerns. I would like to compliment the town and the fire department. We had a wonderful relationship with them We were able to get in right away and get stuff going and are having a great having a great job being done, getting everything done. The only thing that I would like to ask, I don't know if it's even possible with the town, with the associations or Beach Talk Radio here. You know, we have issues with the insurance companies. So do, I'm certain, everybody else. We also have issues with some of our contractors, especially our mitigation contractor, who is Apex DKI. I don't know if anybody else used them. But is it possible for the town, for all of the associations, or for Beach Talk Radio to have some sort of a portal or a forum or a resource or something where you could post issues with companies, kind of like a Better Business Bureau thing, so that people can see, you know, what the issues are and maybe get together. We'd love to get together with some other associations to see if anybody else is having the same kind of issues with overcharging, you know, all of these other things. We've filed complaints with the Attorney General, Ashley Moody. We've filed complaints with, they're out of Tennessee with them. And, you know, we're not getting anywhere. They filed liens on our property. So we're having issues with people wanting to sell or refinance their properties. So that's my only question is I'm not sure the town can do anything or Ed can do anything, but it would be really helpful if there was a resource for everybody to go to be able to make comments or to check on, you know, whether these contractors are doing a good job, a bad job, or whatever. So that's all I have to say.
Steve, before you walk away, and Rick, I'll ask you to come back up if you don't mind. I forgot to mention at the beginning, we're also looking for what hasn't worked and what has worked and where you are in the process as far as getting all your residents back in the building.
Yeah, we are right now, thanks to the fire department, we have 4 full-time residents, including myself. And we were able to get our full-time residents whose units were not as heavily damaged back in the property. We have, I want to say, our white box has been done, all of our association work. No thanks to our insurance company at all. We've had to, unfortunately, have substantial assessments. And it's hurting all of the owners, obviously, but hopefully we'll get some of that back. We're in litigation with the insurance company right now. We've had to sue them. So we've got pretty much all of the common areas and the community things are done. Our pool isn't quite yet done. We need a fence to be completed and some work around there, but the majority of the association work that was damaged has been completed. Because our buildings were so damaged, we undertook some other work that was going to be done during the reserve timing in the next few years. And so we're also doing some of that, replacing railings that, you know, are now wooden, probably out of code with metal and new walkways and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have basically 2 brand new buildings when we're done. And we're hope to be done, what, Bob, maybe 3-4 months, something like that, by April. We're hoping that by April, and we have individual unit owners now that are actually back in working on their units to get them up and running. We do have rental units, and we're hoping that sometime after April, we're going to be able to open up for rentals. We're not going to have all of our amenities ready at that time, but, you know, the buildings and the apartments should be done.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Steve.
thank you.
Jeff Moore.
Oh, I just want to get an update from
Oh,
Rick.
sorry.
I forgot to mention that at the beginning.
Okay. Basically, I think we're one of the more luckier ones. We're on the south end next to Fishtail Marina, Santa Maria. And from the beginning, we had board members just on the spot, working every day until we got everything going. We were lucky. Our electric was on the 2nd floor. And our elevators, we got them working by January of last year. We put a new roof on, and we just completed that now. And the major portion of it is the Master Association replacing decks in our gazebo Our pool, we had that operating in the season last year. Like I said, we were very, very fortunate. We had some assessments, as everybody is, and I think there's going to be a little bit more coming down the road. But the majority of it, we're very thankful to our owners and our boards. We got everything going. So good luck to everybody else. I know there's just people in disarray around here, and it's going to take a while to get everything done, but hopefully the town here is working for us and helping us do these things. So,
Thank you, Rick.
but thank you.
Okay, now I have Jeff Moore from Marina Towers, and after Jeff will be Bill Altoff.
I'm Jeff Moore, and Marina Towers is located on the south end of the island, right across from Lover's Key, 8-story building. Structurally came through pretty well, but the flood knocked out all our infrastructure of electric, the elevators, fire system. Those are in the process of being restored. Our building remains uninhabitable till we get those things back. Things that could be improved are limited. The parts that are short supplied, you can't do much about. Labor is difficult sometimes. That is something I'll mention in a second, and then funding. People don't want to work much on the island. One reason is the traffic, and it is the worst now I've ever seen it. That goes back to 1960s. And I've been stopped twice behind one of those trolleys that had absolutely nobody on it, and it would never pull over and let traffic go by. So that's a simple thing. But if you can get traffic moving, our contractors won't leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon trying to get off the island before all the other traffic's trying to leave. The second thing, funding, I'm not suggesting you become a bank, but if there's a way that we could come together as a group voice, I think the federal government's one of our problems, trying to get an SBA loan. I have worked over 100 hours on it. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the hoops that keep coming up. And now they're going through a system change, they tell me, and our files are locked up. And the other's getting flood insurance to pay off. And that's another federal program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill Altoff, and after Bill will be David Nussbaum.
Morning. Nice
Morning.
seeing you all again.
Good morning.
Shamron Beach, 7650 Estero Boulevard, beachfront. Got 5 items that I want to talk to, which
Bill,
everybody.
just please identify yourself for the record.
Bill Altoff,
Thank you, sir.
President at Shamron Beach Condominium.
Thank you.
Okay. The SBA loan, folks, we started in November. We're still not finished. November of 22. So they did a 17 document dump through the holidays, 17 documents, and gave us a very short deadline. So if you can help in any way. But we had some structural damage that's been repaired. Like everybody else, anything that was on the ground floor got washed away. And we're in the process now of getting the plumbing, the electric. We have a roofer on site that have finally can't wait for the insurance company anymore. So insurance is one of the items we want to talk about. Someone already mentioned SB4. If you guys can do anything you can to delay the implementation or have it phased in, that would be wonderful. You're going to hear funding from every one of us. We're going to have huge assessments. And then just like the other first condominium president said, we hope to get money back after the lawsuit. I sat for 4.5 hours for my examination under oath yesterday. I'm still drained from that, but that's another story. Anyhow, SB4, again, if you can help with that. FEMA help, we need some clear direction from the town. Within the FEMA document itself, it says you have 5 years that count towards your rebuilding cost. Naples does 1 year. Collier County has a different way of doing it. They do a total, I believe, by permit number. Lee County, I think, just changed from 5 year to 1 year. But then they're talking about some kind of look back rule, which I couldn't find online. So if you can give some help defining, is Fort Myers Beach the same as Lee County for 1 year for this FEMA period to calculate your 50%? That's what this is all related to, the 50% rule. So we'd like to see you publish that. I just want to make sure that there's no exceptions to the exclusions that are listed in the FEMA document. And I think it's the FEMA 2010 workbook. That is still is the gospel. And again, I just want to make sure 12 months is the accounting period to keep within that 50%. And if you can look up that Lee County look back rule, I couldn't find anything on that. The other area that we had a little hiccup with was the valuation of the property. The FEMA document gives you 4 or 5 different multiple choices to value your property. And that is the, I guess, denominator in this calculation. And we were held up because we didn't have the right appraisal, but we used a Lee County certified appraisal in accordance with FEMA standards. But we got through that issue, but it shouldn't have been an issue to start. So permitting, you guys have done a good job of trying to work out any kinks, and you've got additional resources, and that's good. If you can keep working with them so that they can probably tell you what the issues are and what the roadblocks are, and maybe you can publish that, and that might help us to have our contractors prep for it. So it might make the whole process a little bit easier. Everybody's going to talk about insurance help. What a one-way street. You pay and pay and pay, and then you have to go through extra hurdles to get what should be rightfully yours. And the last thing is beach sand. I mean, we have FEMA pitching in, state's pitching in, FDEP, I think, is pitching in to put sand out here and pay for it. The emergency berm that went in, thank you. Wish it was done a year earlier, but thank you. But it created a moat around my property. So the water is a drain from the, I say parking lot out onto the beach because we're 5 feet short on sand. So I was reading online that Mexico Beach, and it's the way it was written, it appeared that Mexico Beach had 100% of their beach replaced by FEMA. So if you can look into that to see if they can also bring more sand. That gets back to the funding issue. Based on the current costs that I've seen, that's close to $150,000 for sand that the owners would have to put up, in addition to probably close to $80,000 a pop also. So we're looking to try to see if we can get help from anywhere. So if you can work your magic and get more sand to that beach, that would be fantastic. But there's 5 items. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
David Nussbaum from Island Winds. After David will be Todd Cluner from Seaside.
Good morning, Town Council staff and Mr. Mayor. Thank you for setting this up and giving us a forum to address some of the issues we have. Condo, I'm Dave Nussbaum. I'm president of Island Winds Condominium. We're at 6610 Estero Boulevard. Condos can't open today because we lack necessary parts, permit approvals from the town, authorizations from the fire department, and more importantly, cash. Cash is the driver of all the repairs. We are in the midst of several other people going into legal suit with our wind carrier. We're also in trouble with our FEMA carrier because FEMA continues to change the goalpost. First, they wanted estimates, then they wanted contracts, then they wanted invoices, then they came back and they said everything has to be an exactament. And then when you said, here's the exactament, they said, well, your invoices don't match the exactament, they're much higher. Boy, we're in a devastated zone. You couldn't buy drywall back then. So of course they're going to be higher than the exactaments, but they keep moving the goalpost. We have approximately $7 million in claims with FEMA right now on flood. Oh, that's the Italian in me, and I'm not even Italian. And they paid us $1 million. So, and this is 15 months after the storm. So we need help. We need help from the legislature. We also need help from the legislature on reserve funding. The end of this year, condominiums have to have mandatory reserve funding. I don't know about the rest of you, but we have exhausted our reserves trying to get our buildings in order. If we can get a moratorium from the state legislature to delay, not negate, but delay the timetable for 2 years, just 2 years, it would save us an infinite amount of cash at the end of this year. Every structure standing today has been inspected by no less than 2 to 3 structural engineers, and we're still here and we're deemed safe. Otherwise, Frankie wouldn't give us permits. So I go back to the state legislature and say, we need help from you people. Costs the state zero. It doesn't expose any risk to the people, and yet it frees up much needed cash for us to continue to rebuild. I won't even get into the battles on the insurance. We also need help from the fire department, and I tread here very lightly because I've had 2 or 3 condo presidents that have said, would you address this? Many of the buildings here were built in the 70s and 80s and 90s. There's a lot of things that don't apply to codes today. But there's also the fact that most of the buildings that are standing are concrete, cinder block, and rebar. There's very, very small combustible parts in the condominiums, and we need as much latitude as we can from the fire department as far as building back to code. And there are some provisions that allow the fire department to look at it and use some discretion on rebuilding. We ask for that. We're not safety experts. We just are asking for some latitude. The other area that the town council can help is FPL. We have lost our priority with FPL. FPL came in and did a yeoman's job getting the island back on its feet. But yet today, there are several condominiums that can't get service because they're waiting from FPL. Even the town today at the last meeting said, we're waiting for FPL. We have meters we're trying to get installed to get rid of generators on their property. We're waiting on FPL. We want to rewire our buildings. We're waiting for a window that FPL will give us so they can shut off the power we have for 2 weeks to rewire the buildings. And it's all FPL. So whatever pressure the town council can put on FPL and try and raise the priority level for those of us here on the town, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Before, I just want to touch on, while you're up there, because I have a feeling there's other people that have that, the moratorium that you asked for.
Yes.
We are pushing for it very hard. I know Jackie and the chamber are pushing for it. Sanibel's pushing for it. We've already had initial meetings with our delegation specifically about that issue. They are well aware of it. We're going up at the end of this month. We'll be bringing it up again. We're not the only ones. Everyone that was devastated from Ian and Nicole are talking about the same thing. So we're optimistic that we will be able to get something accomplished. So just wanted to say it while you were up here in case somebody else was going to bring it up.
And in 30 seconds, I will say our elevators are going to be turned on hopefully in 2 weeks, which will be great. That will spur the recovery. And we are hoping, along with some of the others, that we can be fully functional without the amenities by the end of February or the end of March. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Todd Cluner, Seaside, and after Todd will be Bruce Harding from Bella Lago Condo Association.
Good morning, everybody. Todd Cluner, board member with Seaside, which is across the street from Publix. Appreciate all your leadership and decision-making. Certainly has not been easy for what you all have been through. Our project is actually moving along at a great pace. We divided our project into insurance cover, which our main general contractor is handling, and they've got a really good working relationship with the town. And then we have the non-insurance covered item, which, you know, the board members and other owners are spearheading to minimize cost. You know, the good thing is we received all our insurance funds, so cash flow is really not an issue right now. But I do have 3 questions around just the non-insurance covered areas of our property. First one is landscaping. You know, what's the town's code? What's the minimum requirements? What's the process? We've engaged with a large landscaping contractor in town. They're well known. They know most of their stuff, but they still have some unsure areas that they don't quite know about. So we kind of want to get some clarity on that maybe I could talk one off. The second thing is grilling huts. I saw that is a permit required. Didn't know if there's minimum sizes or maximum sizes that we can have. Kind of want to put back the one that we originally had, which was 12 by 12. And I think the town code had 12 by 10. So just something on that. And the last item is we have 50 unit owners. A good percentage of them are going to use our on-site contractor that we have. And the other half of the unit owners are going to use their own insured general contractors to put their units back together, which is basically paint inwards. And so we do understand that a permit will have to be pulled on top of that. And we would like a little more clarity around how we can manage through that. So thank you again for your support and your leadership.
Thanks, Todd.
If you'll indulge me, George Kessler needs to leave for another meeting. So can I put him before you, Bruce, please?
I was supposed to go first anyway. All these promises, you know what? The greatest promise I have heard, probably in the last, by the way, I'm George Kessler with Ocean Harbor Condominiums. Probably the greatest promise I've heard in the last year and a half is from Florida Power and Lights. We should be there maybe next week or the week after. But we've got you on the schedule. We've been on their schedule for 2.5 months for a transformer power change. I am asking that perhaps with the condo associations that we get together along with the town council and at least go through the state level to lodge a formal complaint. We have made a complaint 2 weeks ago at the state level, and we've had nothing but crickets. Nothing, no response anywhere. We spent our own
Excuse
money
me,
to get back.
did you file that complaint with the Public Service Commission of Florida?
It was just filed.
Very
Yes.
good. That's very helpful. Yeah, good.
Yeah. We implore everybody in this room that's got FPL problems to do that same thing. Maybe we can get their attention. We spent our own money last year to get in because we knew through previous fights with the insurance company it wasn't worth the wait. So Ocean Harbor, we got everybody in last year. We had everybody. In fact, the last month of March, we were almost under full occupancy. But we have not been able to do a single thing because our transformer was ruined. We can't even get our contractors to do our work in our clubhouse. We can't do our contractors to work on our pool because of no power. Our hope was that we would have been entirely completed by the first week of November. No power. That's my only message, is if we can get this thing. And by the way, I want to thank the city for all of its wonderful work through all the travesty that we've had to go through for you guys to make the permitting as smooth as possible. I went through myself at least 12, if not 15 permits. And thank God I've only got one more to go, but you folks have done a wonderful job and I appreciate and applaud you for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Okay, Bruce Harding. After Bruce will be Lisa Wallace.
Hi, my name's Bruce Harding. I'm with Bella Lago on a board down there. We're on that 7400 block on the south end. Overall, for us, we're in pretty darn good shape. We've had a good cross-section of owners and board members that can actually get things done. We're able to pull things together. Major things for us, though, were the roofs, combination of clay tile and EPDM roofs. Obviously, the painting on the buildings was bad, and that's being done. Elevators has been a real thorn in our side, but they've just started as of January 2nd. They should be done by the end of April. We're talking 5 buildings there, total of 60 owners in our complex, 12 per building. And right now, we're in the process of finishing up the roofs. We've got 1 building left, and power-wise, we're good. Elevators, what hurt us was our maintenance crew that we had failed to return the elevators to the top floor. They ran when the storm hit, and they let the elevators come back down to the ground floor, so we lost everything. And so that's just, we fired them, got a new one. So, but overall, we've got our landscaping has come along very well. Our pool is back in shape. In essence, I think if anything, what I've seen is a little slow in permitting process, and I see that because I'm an architect, and that some of the items that they review and look on is a little bit too minute and everything. I think they need to kind of broaden their horizon as to the type of project and everything. But other than that, overall, I think everything is doing well. We're quite happy with what's going on. And I think we thank you folks for coming along with us and helping us out where we can. So with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, I have Lisa Wallace up next and then Gary Fields.
Good morning. Everybody says thank you, and of course we do too. We're from the privateer. Dave Knibbe, we're both on the board. I'm not sure if Mike, our president, is online.
Can you pull that mic just a little closer so
Oh,
they can?
sorry. Have to like eat it. There we go. Once again, we're from the privateer 6500. Our first floor was pretty much wiped out, or I should say it was. We have an outstanding board. Our management company wasn't much help in the beginning, so we all pulled together. I think we're on our 58th meeting. We meet almost once a week. Now it's kind of slowed down. We hired an engineer pretty quick right after remediation, and they've been extremely helpful. Our insurance, we have no issues. We have somebody on the board that had insurance background, and she was immediately on the phone and got that. So we're okay in that regard. We do have a construction company, and we're working on the 50% rule right now. We're waiting patiently for a few permits that I think have had to have a few revisions, but hopefully they will get moved along so we can get going. They're patiently waiting so they can begin all the construction. So that's where we're at right now. My question goes along with Mr. Nussbaum about the reserve. We've obviously done the same thing. We've had to use down most of our reserves. Obviously, when we're finished, we're going to be almost new. So until that happens, it's very difficult for us to work in that area. So if we can wait on that, and also with the, in that whole thing, because we probably won't be up and running, or maybe even occupancy by maybe September, November, we're probably looking at. So that is a very key thing. Our annual meeting is coming up. So if that can be pushed down the road, that would be awesome, because we obviously have a little more priorities right now. I think that's it. Dave, is there anything? I think we're good with that, but we appreciate everything that you all are doing, and with all the permitting. I know it's been kind of a nightmare for you, but we appreciate all the hard work that you've done. So
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, Gary Fields. After Mr. Fields is Chris Listener and or Jim Brubaker.
I'm Gary Fields. I'm the president of Pelican Watch 2532 Estero Boulevard, just across the Estero from here. Like everybody else, we're suing our insurance carriers. We've applied for SBA funding almost 12 months ago to the day, and we've closed on our loan, but we haven't received a dollar yet. So we've got some financial challenges that we're addressing, but we actually have limited occupancy now. We have half a dozen units that are occupied for people who are willing to walk up to 6 flights of stairs. But the things I want to bring up are more to do with permitting and inspections. The personnel have been fine. We have no complaints at all about the quality work that they're doing, but the delays and that we've encountered because of the availability for people involved in permitting and inspections has added a couple of months of construction time. That's right out of our general contractor's mouth. So it's not the quality of work, it's a staffing issue, which I completely understand the challenge. Everybody's overwhelmed. But I want to point out that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, because right now the permitting and inspections are dealing with people who are involved, properties that are involved in reconstruction. And when all these vacant properties start coming back online, that's going to even make it even worse. So I think this is a problem that really needs some more attention. Coincidentally, I have a background in public finance. I've noticed as an owner for years that the relative wealth and property values in the town are probably disproportionate compared to the services we get from Lee County. And we probably export property tax revenues compared to the level of services that require from the county. And that might be a resource to look to as you try to at least temporarily staff up for permitting and licensing issues. So I encourage you to look at that relationship and the ratio, because that might be a way to actually improve on the responsiveness and the challenge that we all face. Other than that, I already mentioned litigation with our insurance carriers. We've got the same challenges as everybody else. And I thank you for your willingness to address this challenge. This is something none of us anticipated. And I think we'll be back, not cosmetically, but at least functionally online with our building within 2 or 3 months. So we have limited occupancy. We're getting there. And thank you for your help so far.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, I have Chris or Jim from Terramar. After them will be Denise Clint.
Thank you. My name is Jim Brubaker. I'm associated or affiliated with Terramar at 7100 Estero, right behind the 7-Eleven that's going to open in February with gas. Thank you, officials and dignitaries, for having this opportunity. I wanted to sensitize first to perhaps how this is different and where the focus has been on Fort Myers Beach. I think everybody obviously struggling with restoration, but no more so than us in this room, especially the nature of our ownership. We're multi-owner, which means there's many competing interests. We are board run, which brings a whole different level of operational challenges to decision making. And we are mid or high-rise buildings. High-rise buildings, mid-rise buildings are very, very complicated compared to single-family homes. What that means, what the result has been, is that just a natural evolution of emphasis has been afforded single-family homes, because I don't want to say they're easy, because they're hard, but they're 70 times easier than a 70-unit condominium building. I don't think our approach in the town has reflected that difference and put the priorities where they need to be regarding high and mid rises. I also want to point out that it's not the town alone. FEMA, I've tried to self-educate myself. FEMA has the regulations, their assistance, their interactions, their approach. It deals with single-family homes and individual rentals. Their guidelines and administrative provisions are not set up to deal with multifamily high rises. What this means is the North End has seen a lot more restorations, far in excess of the South End. What I'm asking is that the town sensitize themselves to this difference, which means high rise, mid rise is different than anybody else, takes a disproportional amount of work, but 70 units put back online is like putting a street online with 70 houses, or every time you see a condominium of 70 units that's vacant, imagine a street of 70 houses sitting there vacant and potentially derelict. I'm recommending that periodic workshops be held for boards and owners of high and mid-rise condos, including the town officials, experts, as well as the fire prevention individuals. We're concerned that the age of our condo, 1980, is going to prevent us from being able to, or is going to cause us challenges when we go to rebuild our fire suppression equipment. Recommending revision to the permit application documents and processes to reflect the needs of what high rises must use, and that are general contractors. Homeowners can do their own repair work and muddle through the permit process with your help. High rises, we have to use, I can't see another way than to use a general contractor, and the permitting process and the documentation that's required to be filed is not reflective, does not reflect the needs of the general contractors. And finally, I'm with the others. The town needs to stay on message. FEMA, public approaches, lobby the state. High rises are a different animal, and unless the state and FEMA and others recognize that they are board-run, multi-owner, high mid-rise in VE zones, we're a different beast, and the state and everything else that comes together for this needs to recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Denise Clint. And after Denise will be Mike Close.
I'm back.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Denise Clint, representing the Sandrak A, 6670 and 6672 Estero. We are pretty much, I mean, we are really doing well, thanks to a lot of our board. That's our permanent home, so they were on board right from day one. We pretty much have all of the units, everyone's back in it except for the first floor, which, you know, it's bad all over the island. So our main problems are with the first floor. Let me back up and say that we are doing some things in conjunction with our renovations and, you know, the reconstruction stuff that we had started before the storm. So we have a new roof. The whole building has a new roof. That's been completed, and it looks like we're still doing a lot of work on the outside, but that has to do with the reconstruction stuff that we had started previously. So pretty much everyone is in except for the first floor. We don't have our pool or lobbies or the main common areas done at all. And so one of my questions has to do with permitting and in fixing the various units on the first floor. It seems as if, you know, each unit for each item has to get the permits. And I'm just offering a suggestion of, if it's possible, to get a point person within the permitting department that deals just with the condominiums. Like the gentleman before me said, you know, we're very unique and different questions. And if we could all have just one person we could call who would on top of our permits, I think it'd be very helpful. Other thing that we desperately need, and I know you're working on, is street lighting. Our entrances are impossible to see at night. Many of us, we have electricity, but not out on the street or in our parking lots yet. So it's, you know, it's really dark out there. And the last thing is that our previous mayor had a breakfast meeting once a month with association presidents. And I'm not saying it has to be the mayor because it could be spread across the whole council, but or even staff, to just set up some kind of a meeting. And it's harder now because we don't have the restaurants available to do it in. But I think we could find something that perhaps just, you know, a monthly meeting like this with just presidents even, could help along ways with your questions and their questions, and it would give opportunity for the different presidents to discuss amongst themselves too what's going on. So thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Mike Close. After Mike is Mike Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Close. I'm a resident and the president of the Crescente Condominium Association. I want to start by saying, as a result of an incident over the weekend, I am profoundly deaf. So I got my assistant here. If anybody has any questions, she whispers in my ears and I get it straight. Because I'm deaf, I'm not sure how much of this you're hearing that you haven't heard before, but for starters, we had a pool area that was totally destroyed by the hurricane. The pool itself, the sidewalks and the fences around the pool, we intend to rebuild exactly like it was before. You guys approved that once, but now I'm in a position where I got to come back, go through public hearings and all the rest of that to get it approved again because it's in front of the line. That simply doesn't make a lot of sense. I would submit that's a kind of issue that you submit on a regular basis to your staff anyway. I would propose that council give a blanket exception to the public hearing for those kind of situations to the staff as long as the rebuild is in substantial compliance to what was there before. We don't want to do anything fancy. We're going to do some fancy stuff, but it's going to be behind the environmental line, and that certainly will be subject to the normal review office there. But it doesn't make sense to make us go back through this again. Secondly, under your present ordinances, condominium associations in general are treated different than private residences. If there's a private residence next to me and they have less than $25,000 project, they can even do it with unlicensed contractors, but they got to inspect and be responsible for the work. And they can't do it in anticipation of a sale. We would propose, my condominium manager is certainly a lot more experienced than I would be at managing a project. We would propose that we change the ordinance to allow that same thing to condominium associations as you do the private owners, bearing in mind that this is just a collection of private owners. We're not a corporation for purposes of profit. We're not trying to sell a product. We're trying to live there. So it would seem to make sense that we could do the supervision of our minor projects ourselves. I would also suggest, by the way, as a result of this hurricane, the costs that we've seen have exploded. Maybe 50,000 might be a better minimum than the 25,000 that's there now. You know, we're, I don't know, 22 million in losses, only partially covered by insurance. We got enough to go through without dealing with some of this stuff. Third, I have no problem with the FEMA 50% rule. What I do have a problem is when we make it, because we made a submittal for $22,000 worth of drywall on our first floor. We've got to submit every piece of information for that as we would for a major project with FEMA. We've got an appraisal of $20 million for that particular building. $22,000 is 0.011% of that amount. It would seem to me that staff can be told to take a look at it and use some common sense. If it's no place ever going to be affected by the FEMA regulations, then why make us go through all the extra work? We have enough to do this rebuild right now. Fourthly is kind of off the books because it's not what we're talking about generally here. We have had numerous requests over the last several years to install charging stations for electric vehicles. We've done the exploration. We've talked to Florida Power and Light. That is simply not feasible for us to do. I mean, we're one of the larger associations with 172 units. We can't come close to being able to afford that. But I would suggest that what the city do is take a look at managing a project like that. You can sell charging stations, and we'd be more than happy to buy a couple charging stations, or you can lease them to us and we pay monthly premiums back to you, so you retain ownership of those stations, but you get it paid for. And I think your bonding capacity would allow that to happen. Anyway, that's all I got. I really appreciate you guys putting a forum on like this and taking your time to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike Alexander. After Mr. Alexander is Jim Waltower.
Had a Semper Fi there. We are at Mike Alexander. I'm the treasurer for Estero Beach Club, 2580 Estero Boulevard, right straight across the street here from where Old Tops used to be. First of all, for damage, we have two buildings, 25 units in one, 24 in the other. One building took asbestos, so it took water through the roof, and when we hit the drywall, we had asbestos, so that building is stripped down to the studs, 5th floor to 1st floor. The other building, the roof didn't give out, so floors 2 through 5 are good. So that's the good news, and so we've got one building that we could get occupancy in, assuming that we meet the requirements. From an insurance perspective, we are probably one of the lucky ones. We have a PA through Altieri. He's done an excellent job, and we are getting both wind insurance and flood insurance. Our problem with flood insurance is they are paying us, but they don't tell us what they're paying for. So we have a general overall estimate of what the damage is, and they've given us money, but we don't know what that's for, and then they're asking for additional information. So we're working through that with our PA. I reiterate everything that's been said about Florida Power and Light. We have all of our permanent electrical equipment in, and we've had it in for several months, and we cannot get anything scheduled with Florida Power and Light to get it installed. So that's a problem for us. So we've been told that permits are not required for interior rebuild if we complete a cost form for FEMA. Is that true? It's not. Getting an answer already. Anything else, Jennifer? Okay, that's basically where we're at. Oh, one additional question. We're getting different requirements. What does it take, say in the one building where our units are fine, what do we have to complete to get or allow occupancy of any of those units? We're getting some mixed reads. Our contractor says we have to have an elevator, but I know there's places all over the beach that have occupancy without their elevators. We're working on the life safety with Florida Life Safety, and we appreciate that. I think once the permits put in, that if we work through you, the fire department, that they can go ahead and start, because that's a pretty standard thing. So we appreciate the cooperation there. So that's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, Jim Waltower. After Jim will be Edward Smith.
Hey, my name is Jim Walther. I'm on the Riviera Club Board of Directors at 7500 Estero Boulevard. We have two fellow board members and support from owners here today. I just want to thank everybody for all their support, and I'm going to give a specific call out to the Fort Myers Beach Fire District. Every time we try to contact them on the inside, whether it be their offices or their inspectors, we get an immediate response. And to me, that is crucial for us getting in. I can tell you that the challenges that we have had on our building is the contractors and the construction people. Don't talk to the contractors. Don't talk to the construction people. Don't talk to the engineers. Can't talk to anybody. Well, 30 days ago, we started getting involved. We had a little bit of a change on the direction on our board, and we got very involved directly with our contractors and the engineers. And the difference is you'll get in October, you'll get it in December, you'll get it in January. Those days are over. We set the deadline date of January 31st, and then we worked it backwards and concentrated on the Fort Myers Beach Fire District life safety bullet points that will get us in. Our biggest concern is we're going to get to the point where we're ready to get in and maybe we miss something. So one of the things that we're going to be looking forward to is maybe getting somebody to walk the property with us and say, okay, here are the 10 points that we have that we know we need to complete to gain occupancy. These buildings are vacant, they're deteriorating, and you need to get some people in there and you need to get some life and activity and bring these buildings back to life. That doesn't mean a lot of people are going to come back because you might have some elevator issues. So we're concentrating, we got directly involved with our engineers and Fort Myers Beach Fire District on our fire pump permit. It turned out on September 14th that the permit was rejected justifiably. It took 9 weeks for our contractor to even address it. So we intercepted it and we were able to take over that process and push them and get it done. So the fire pump permit approval to get our fire pumps have been in our garage for about 8 weeks. The domestic water pumps, we got involved in that. We had a company called Reflow came in to check all our valves in our units. The board took that over. And now that we're directly involved with vendors and engineers on a daily basis, we're starting to get some very accurate delivery dates and information so that we can figure out when are we going to get in the building and not just another date from a contractor. So we've been working with the fire district on our backup generator and our fuel tanks, and they have been tremendous along with our engineer. Stairwell lightings, fire exit signs, walkway lighting, fire doors, fire extinguisher boxes. We delivered the fire extinguisher box company, ABC. We actually delivered that check ourselves. Ran a personal check out of our account to get those fire boxes on order because A, I can't rely on our contractor to cut a check because they're not cutting checks, even though we have our insurance proceeds. So timing to us is very important. Our one question that we're going to have on the building side is, now that we've been delayed 5 months, the roof is coming, 2 weeks. You know the 2-week rule. 2 weeks, the roof is coming in. Finally, we're getting ready to almost get all these 10 points checked off on our fire district life safety issues. They want to open up the roof. These guys are classic. So we have engaged them, and it's been a friendly engagement, but it has been very clear. You're not to open up that roof a week before occupancy without our approval. So my question is going to be to the building side of the city when it comes time to get inspections. I would just love to be able to have a building inspector walk the properties and tell me where we're going to have an issue. What am I missing? What should I concentrate on? Because the contractors have 20 different projects going on, 15 are unfinished. They want to open up another major project, and this one may keep us out. So that's my main concern. I know this seems very selfish because there's so many more buildings that have larger issues than this, but as we get closer to our January 31st deadline, we just want to make sure that we're not missing anything. And I want to once again thank the fire district for engaging us and doing such a great job. And it's the fog of war. I mean, there's a lot going on. It's easy to get distracted also on these properties with everything that's going on. They may not be doing the things that want to get you, that can get you in. A lot of actions, a lot of activities going on. But so this is what our focus is. And thank you for your time. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Edward Smith, and after Mr. Smith is Larry Connolly.
Thank you all for doing this. We really appreciate it. My name's Ed Smith. I'm the treasurer at Harbor Point down in Bay Beach Lane. And it's really a little heartwarming to hear that we're not the only ones with all these problems. And it's also good to hear that you're willing to listen to us. And we hope the follow through is there as well. We will have 2 new buildings, 70 units in each when we're done. New roofs, new windows, new stuccos, all code violations fixed, all new life safety equipment. And I got to thank you guys in the fire department. You've been great. You've been down a couple of times. You talk with us, tell us what we need to do. And it's really been great. Questions already been asked about occupancy and what needs to go. We're starting to turn units over back to the owners for them to do their contract work, but no occupancy. because the life safety issue in particular. And my first thing I'd like some feedback on and some guidance from the fire department in particular is on these electrical rooms. The memo that was sent out to the managers about what happened down on Marco Island. We're looking into putting sniffers in there so that we can put alarms out for safety of people. But we would really like some guidance on, will that make any difference? Because if you go and look at that report, which I'm sure you have, sniffers wouldn't have helped you with that. So the question really comes up is, what can we do to protect the property and the people working there? So whatever help you can give us, would greatly appreciate it. Been to the code office a number of times myself, asking questions. Always gotten good answers, and very rarely were they conflicting answers, which is good. But we have issues with trying to make decisions ourselves on emergency generators and emergency fire pumps. And from what I understand after being there, that there are no temporary fire pumps. They all have to be put back in place at the right elevation per the code. So no temporary there. So I'd like to, if we could get that verified, that'd be useful. And I know you can use a temporary generator, but it has to be on a trailer to be pulled away. So curious of what temporary means on temporary generator. Is it 6 months or is it 6 years? The permitting, like I said, you guys have been, we haven't had real problems with the permitting. It's been very good through our general contractor. But we do have a question concerning small things in units. The code in Fort Myers Beach is more restrictive than the state code on such things as tiling and hanging cabinets and trim work. And with the transition from the GC to the unit owners bringing in their own contractors, this is causing a lot of concern and a lot of discussion. It would be really useful as we go through this transition time if the city or the town here could relax some of those issues associated with things that other places aren't requiring, like tiling permitting, hanging cabinets. I understand if it's a replacement, you don't need a permit, but right now you need a permit from what you say on hanging cabinets. So that's a great issue for us, and I'm not sure how many other associations are having that. But if we could relax the code on some of those little things, it would make getting people back into the units quicker, and it would save owners a lot more money. And we're all hurting for money. The assessments, we've tried to minimize our assessments, but they still sting, no matter how small you try to make them. And I highly support this issue of trying to get that reserve funding pushed out a couple more years. And the biggest issue we're facing right now in getting people back in is the life safety, in particular moving the electrical rooms up to the first floor. And the one thing I'm walking away with today is we're expecting Florida Power and Light to be here in about a month and a half, and we need them for the electrical rooms. But I am not too comfortable with that position any longer. So again, thank you all for what you're doing, and I support that recommendation that we have you have more meetings more often with the associations. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Edward.
Larry Conley, and after Mr. Conley is David Wellington.
Morning. My name's Larry Conley. I'm from Windward Point, down on 400 Linnell Road. And I'd just like to get a clarification on the turtle lights for our parking lot area. We've gone back and forth with our electrical contractor, and the cost of going from our regular lighting to that is like 4 times the cost, and we can't get what the actual requirement is and something possibly in writing. So we have to go back to our insurance company to, reestablish what that cost is going to be. Otherwise, we're very fortunate for where we're at. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Larry.
David Wellington. After Mr. Wellington is Wally Carpenter.
Good morning. My name's Dave Wellington. I represent the Bay Village Condominium Association. We have 7 buildings with 108 units. I also would like to thank everyone for this meeting. Our issues right now are with permitting. Basically, we're not able to occupy. We have permits allowing insulation and drywall installation in 3 buildings, but we're waiting on the permits for the other 4 buildings. So that would be helpful if we could get those permits and get the insulation, drywall. We're all looking forward to moving home. We've been displaced for several months like everyone else. We're also waiting on electrical permits. We have to replace the service equipment in all 7 buildings. So if you can help us with the electrical permits, that would help also. We also have some concrete work, and we're waiting on a permit for that work. I don't know if it's the contractor or the building inspection department in regard to that permit. So in regard to the concrete, I'm not sure why there's a delay for that, but the other 4 permits and the electrical permit, we're waiting on the inspection department. So once again, thank you for the time, and we're looking forward to coming back home. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Wally Carpenter. And after Mr. Carpenter is Zach Lozao.
I was here in October and addressed you guys, and you're pretty good. And I just want to say one thing. A lot of people don't understand about governments and things like that, because when it's an emergency, it's now. And you had an emergency, so did we. So you had to get together, put it together so we can apply to you, work it out together, get the permits and move on. I disagree with one guy that meant something about hiring people who aren't licensed or bonded or something. If you take the chance to hire a guy under the table, which actually our rec association did and got caught, and he's still fighting permits, and that's okay, but he's delaying the repairs on the pole in that because he thought he could undercut everything and get past it and get it done. Well, we all want to get it done. So my concern is, my name is Jim Cecil.
Thanks.
And I think if you remember me, I do sit on a city council in my hometown for 37 years. So I understand your problem and I know what you go through. So anyways, let's get past that. I am the president of the Association of Admirals Bay. And we have 2 buildings, 38 units. We're very fortunate. We have tall condominiums in front of us. 2, what do you call that? I always forget. I have a canal like on one side and all that mangrove, I call it, or whatever. I'm from the north. So, but anyways, and we're protected behind us with another condo. But we have a complex in there. We have a 3-story building, open parking under the garages. It only flooded to underneath the first floor. We had 3 broken windows, and this is where I get the permitting again. It took us almost a year. We ordered the windows after the hurricane from the last president. And then he sold his unit, and I had to take over the position. So we finally, this guy's name was Paul Hester. He does windows. So he had, the other president had to make up the windows. The windows was sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. But in the meantime, we sent estimates to the insurance companies. We sent everything there, over $1.5 million of damages on 2 buildings. And they said we owed them $125,000. So we're in a litigation, just like everybody else. It's crazy, and it's just nuts. And now we're in litigation with the elevators because we have to do them the right way, and we have to replace the pistons and the shaft. And so that's where we're at. My other question is the appraisals. We had appraisal done prior to the hurricane. after hurricane, the thing was rejected, the permits and that, and they says they want an appraisal of the building. We said, okay. My CPA guy, he couldn't understand that, so I looked into it and says, this is the rules and regulations, we have to do it. So we paid $4,000 for a guy to come out, redo all the permits, I mean, not permits, the appraisals. It's great. They're pretty much the same as the last time, maybe a few dollars difference. We submitted them. You rejected it. You know why you rejected it? Because your name wasn't on the appraisal. We weren't even told that. So we thought it was just a normal appraisal. So we had the guy was generous, didn't recharge us for nothing. He redid them, and then we submitted them again with your name on the town of Fort Myers Beach. I don't know what the legal ramification is there or why it has to be like that. But this is what happens in the process, that we don't get all the information to do that. Now, my building permit is just about done, I think. And I talked to Frank last time, Frankie. I was over there a while ago. I'm not a resident here. I come and go, come and go. My question is on the permits. When we applied for the first one, I'll be honest with you, there was a mistake in the code. That permit is less than $1,000 for one building. We went to apply for the other one, and we were told it's $14,000 for the permit. Am I correct? For one building, and all we have is roof, fascia, overhang, etc. Are our permits $14,000, or does it depend on the size, the property, or something? I'd like to know and what benefits we're getting from it. And now when I call the restoration company, I says, well, we're waiting for the law firm to give us the okay to go ahead, because this coastal insurance company is a bunch of crooks, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry. Anyways, he's telling me there's more fees. I said, what do you mean there's more fees? Is it because the permit was, that was your mistake because they coded it wrong, but you say you're not charging us for that. You're standing up to what you said that permit was. So we kind of got a break. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you shortchanged yourself and here's a check. That'd be too honest. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, I'd like to know what $14,000 consists of, or how you put it together.
Okay.
I mean, I deal with that back home. We know about permits and that. They're not quite, and I know it's an emergency situation and a lot of things got to be factored in. I don't know how you factor it in, but I'd like to, I'm sure, I don't know what your permits are and what you're paying. It's not that we can't pay it. I just like to know what we're getting from it. Now, as far as the fire department, they've been really great. Total Fire has done our sprinklers in one building. They're going to redo the other building with either Wi-Fi monitors, because it was built prior to the second one. It doesn't have a sprinkler system. Our undergarage and the 152 building, they're all sprinkled, the garages, but over there, they're not. But nobody's saying we have to sprinkle them. You're saying we have to monitor them with new technology and that. They're going to try Wi-Fi, but I don't think that's going to work. Our buildings are built, the foundation is concrete. All the blocks are concrete blocks. They only use the cinder block for interior walls anyways.
Jim, I don't want to cut you off, but
Yeah,
we've got some more people
All right.
that we're trying to get to.
So,
make sure
but
we can get
anyways,
some
I just want to
answers.
let you know, I'd really like to know about that permit somehow. Somebody can, I'll be down here to the end of January, and that's why Wally's here. He stays here he's one of our directors in that. And I appreciate it. You guys are doing a good job. You're really trying, and I understand.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for your time. Thanks, guys.
Zach Luzeo, and then the last person I have signed up here is Tom McDonald after Zach.
How you guys doing? My name is Zach Luzeo. I'm with Studio AD Architect, and we're working on a couple of condo repair projects here. And I think the main objective is to save these buildings. They're structurally sound, and we're looking to get clarification on some of the categorization of the code. So The first step as architects, we have to determine the scope of work, determine what needs to be fixed in the condo, and this assists with us meeting the 50% rule. That's a very important first step. In the Florida existing building code, as well in the Florida Fire Prevention Code, there are many pathways, as you guys know, to that a project can be categorized. For example, it could be repair, a change of occupancy, addition, modification, alteration, level 1, 2, or 3. So for to help the condominiums get clarity in the beginning of the project, rather than during plan review, we're looking for to categorize as a repair per the definition of the Florida existing building code. Even if the work area throughout all the floors of the building are not being altered, we don't believe that some of the projects should be categorized as an alteration level 3, as this means you are bringing a lot of things up to the current code and compliance, and this increases the scope of the work, as well as the budget, and could end up exceeding the 50% rule. We have to face the reality that these buildings are old and there's only so much that can be done to bring them up to the newer codes. The same concern exists under the Florida Fire Prevention Code. We believe that a condo could be categorized as a renovation, thus allowing certain components to remain as they were built originally, thus reducing the scope of work and keeping it below the 50% rule. I've got a flow chart that I could provide you guys that kind of shows how it's a NFPA published it that shows how to categorize a project. We understand that there's categorizing the buildings as a repair and renovation may not work for every condo, especially those that are reconfiguring the spaces differently than what was there before, but it can help out for some specific projects. So if we could just get that clarification on if we can go with repair or renovation. And if you have any other questions, we thank you for your time and look forward to the interpretation of that.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Zach. If you can get that to the town clerk, she'll make sure we all get it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tom McDonald.
Good morning, I'm Tom McDonald. I'm with the Estero Island Yacht and Racket Club and the vice president there. Down at 200 Leno Road at the north or south end of the beach. We have 3 buildings, 52 total units, 26 on the first floor, 26 on the second floor. All 26 of our first floor units were completely damaged, obviously, during the storm through the flood. A lot of the questions that I had already been asked, so I'm not going to ask those again. The permitting process, I know at the beginning it was very slow. Everybody was complaining about the permitting process, but I think when you have this many people applying for permits all at once, even with help from FEMA, it's going to slow things down. Our contractor, Compass, has said he has a very good working relationship with the town as far as getting permits, getting things answered, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much for that. One of the things I do have on the permits is somebody did mention it, that our general contractor is going to be doing most of the rebuild. Some of our homeowners have said that they would like to, after the white box, finish that. And I hear somebody talking here that they will need a permit to do their own white box or after the white box to finish their unit. And if somebody could clarify that for us, because we were told, no, they will not need a permit to finish after the white box to install their cabinetry and so on and so forth. If some of that could be clarified. Another complaint I was having was with Florida Power and Light, but after listening to everybody else, my problem is very, very small on 3 street lights. After I called them, I put a complaint in. They give you the 40-day turnaround. I called them. They go, well, Mr. McDonald, there's a 40-day turnaround on getting these lights fixed. They go, well, it's been 89. And according to my calculations, that's way over. But listening to other people, mine is very minimal. As far as the insurance payments, like many of us here, we've had to sue our wind carrier to get the monies for it. And of course, that cost us a very large sum of money, but we did settle with the wind carrier and we were able to get 3 new roofs on all 3 of our buildings have been replaced and they're fantastic. So we're very happy with that. As far as our flood carrier, I think we're having the same problem as everybody else. They keep asking for little things. You think you give a supply them everything, you cross all the Ts, dot all the Is, and then they want to know how many linear feet of PEX water line are you going to use in each unit? Really? This is minimal. And they keep asking for these things. And I understand, FEMA that runs it, it's a federal agency, it's involved with the insurance companies, and trying to get answers from them is very, very difficult. Okay. Likewise, somebody also mentioned the contractors on the beach leaving early because they have to get off of the island. I've never seen the traffic this bad. I wrote to Ed yesterday in regards to the traffic, the new light down by Margaritaville, and I was coming back yesterday, and I noticed it seemed like probably 30 or 40% of the vehicles at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon were construction vehicles leaving the island. And I don't know if the town has looked at that light down there. I don't think it's helping or doing what they had planned or hoped that it was going to do, but I know that's not really involving this unit or this group, but it's hopefully something that the town can look at to try to rectify this problem. Because in the middle of the afternoon right now, there's not that many people at the south end of the island and traffic is backed up all the way past Publix. I don't think that's very acceptable. But thank you for holding this meeting and looking forward to the answers from everybody.
Thank you, Tom. That's all we have signed up.
Yes, I don't know what your intentions are with the Zoom folks.
Well, I guess I'm going to ask Chief Worth and Joe, based on what have you heard so far, how much time do you need to address most, if not all, these concerns? I want to make sure you have enough time to address the people that have been here so far to speak.
I picked up about 4 or 5. 10 minutes probably.
Okay. How about Joe?
Not too much time, maybe 15, 20 minutes.
See if there's any questions that have come in from the virtual world.
If there's any questions, or you can ask them to raise their hands to chat with us and we'll activate their speakers.
Yeah, we'll get through as many as we can, but I want to make sure we have enough time to answer some questions.
Maybe just wave your hands in your camera so we can see you. I'm talking Zoom people here. Yeah, he's moving on. Okay, well, until we get connection with these folks, we have a lady out here that would like to speak.
Come on up. Make sure you identify yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Bertie Murphy from Estero Beach Club East, just across the street. So I really thank you for allowing us this opportunity. And I wanted to listen a lot this morning. So I may be repeating some things, but it might be nice for you to hear it. I don't know. Anyway, our biggest maybe issue would be insurance companies, the same as other people have said. Our next issue, I think, would have been permitting. We've had a number of difficulties with that. And most of the time, I would say it's that things have changed, or we need this, we need that. And, we go back and try and do that. And even sometimes when we had a permit, then there was a change within that time period when we were almost finished what that activity or project was. Also, an additional information. The other thing, the reserve study, we are concerned about that also. As so many have mentioned, we've used a lot of our money and we understand the value of it and want to pursue that also. But if we could possibly have an extension, it would really help with all the current situation. And street lights too. It is very dark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a gentleman named Robert on Zoom. He's identified as Robert's iPad. Robert, if you can unmute your microphone, we will listen to you now.
Yes, this is Galvanoni from Charlotte Point Beach Club at the south end of the island, 8350. I got a couple of things. First of all, I want to make sure that we get signed in there for strongly endorsing a year or two delay of the state revenue requirements for capital reserves. The money would be very useful in our rebuild. One of the questions we have is we're about to file our application for restoring the ground level, and it's in the millions of dollars. And we have signed the contract with our contractor to do this, which means it's a hard quote. And the only thing that can change it is change orders negotiated between us. Now, he's saying that he needs to have all of the subcontractors' contracts signed before he can submit. Now, I don't see why that's a requirement, quite frankly. He's stuck with the amount of money he's put on that contract. And I know it's all useful for the 50% rule, which frankly, I don't think is going to apply in our case at all. So that's one other concern we have. And one other one is there any way to get a partial approval of a large contract like that? Like, there might be some first steps that might take us 30 days, and we could get a partial approval of phase 1 while you're working on phase 2 through N. That's another question. And last, I read in the Beach Talk newspaper that you're going to delay the sand for renourishment of our beach at the south end. I can tell you, if that thing doesn't get done by the end of, I'd say, in the fourth quarter sometime, you're talking September, October now, we're going to have a hard time renting those units because the beach is going to look like heck. And that's not where we want to be. You're going to lose revenue. We're going to lose revenue. It will not be a good thing. So I wanted to raise that issue too. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
I think that's it.
Okay. Chief Worth, we'll start with you if you don't mind. If you want to touch on some of the questions.
Sure, I don't mind. Whoever's running Zoom, can we make sure that Jennifer Campbell is available to speak if possible?
Jennifer, if you can raise your hand on Zoom, we can bring you forward.
Put her front and center.
I think I'm unmuted if you can hear me.
Perfect.
We can hear
We
you.
can. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so
Okay.
Jen, do you want to go first?
No, you can go ahead and
All
tell me if you want. I'll fill in the blanks.
Okay, so the first question that that I had heard was from Rick at Santa Maria. So one was on the pressure in the system. And so generally when the new water lines came in on the south end, it provided some latitude for buildings that once required fire pumps, the ones that are lower mid-story levels, to not need a fire pump. But Rick, you had said you were given 1 year to get the system up and running. And if you're showing progress on that, if you're getting near your year and you're not where you need to be, please reach out to us, talk about it. These are all on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, if we had initial conversations with somebody and they said, we're going to do this and that as far as our plan goes, and there's no progress, then that would be a different result than if you're actively working towards fixing your systems. So our general goal is to get you folks back in your buildings as soon as we can, but knowing that they're safe for you to actually occupy them. One of the things that I've heard a lot about is how big your buildings are, and I understand the complexities of putting them back together. At the end of the day, those complexities carry over if we have a rescue situation caused by a fire or something else. So when we adhere to these life safety standards, it's for your safety, but we also want to get you back in as soon as we can. So for Rick, is there anything else that I can talk about specifically? Okay. And please, if you have questions or you think there's somewhere where a conversation would help move something along, please call our office. Jennifer and I have conversations all the time about projects and what can we do. Rick?
This is our president of our association.
Can you come to the microphone, please, so you're picked up on the recording?
Hello, my name is John Fienza, and as Rick said, I'm the president of the Santa Maria 2 Condo Association. I'd like to address my comment to, I'm sorry, I'm blind and I can't relate a lot to remembering names and things, but to you, sir, with our fine fire department, and to Jennifer Campbell. I want to say that between you folks and Bill Genevrino, you've kept us very aware of what's going on and what's necessary to bring our condo up. And we were some of the first to be able to have occupancy because of the grace provided and the clarity provided by you in the fire service here on Fort Myers Beach. And I just want to make a comment of commendation and to express to everyone else here on condo boards that if you ask for information from our fire department and the people in our fire department, they are very gracious and they have provided us with clarity and all the proper information through the process. So I just want to say a big thank you to all of you with FMB Fire. I think it's one of the best fire services in Southwest Florida. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of my whole team, I thank you for those words and your support. The next one for David at Island Winds. I know you had mentioned that you're unable to open part or all of your building because of needed authorizations from the fire department.
That wasn't necessarily our building.
Okay.
I was told, I was the guy that had to put the bell on the cat. I had several residents that asked me to just mention that.
He was just, yeah, he was just the
Okay.
messenger.
Just in general.
I'm the messenger.
Okay, my general message back is the same as I had said. If anybody thinks there's any, if you feel like the fire department could do more to help along, reach out to us. You know, when Jennifer and I have conversations, a lot of times we talk about the code being guardrails on either side of the road. And we like to do whatever we can within the code to help buildings get back up and running the best we can, but still adhering to those codes that protect us all. So thank you. I marked this down for Todd at Seaside regarding the grilling huts. I asked Jennifer by text if there was anything on that, but she said we hadn't seen anything. I'm sure if it comes through our office, you know, we'll give it the review it needs. In general, right now, our office, we're holding a 2-week when a permit comes in. We're looking at trying to hit a 2-week mark for being able to do the plan review on it and get the comments issued or get it back to the town. We're running on that schedule, maybe even a little bit ahead. And we do have additional capacity. We've seen some influxes that have taken us a little past 2 weeks, but generally we're turning those things out pretty quick. And, you know, kudos to the town because they are, when those plans are coming in, they're doing a very good job of making sure that they're being routed to the fire department so we can get started on our end. So. Gary at Pelican Watch, I noted your comment about lead times in general for permitting and plan review. I don't know if I just answered your question, but if you feel like that, again, the fire department is involved in delaying the permitting, please let us know. And one thing, if I can, again, the conversations Jennifer and I often have, although I've been in the fire service a long time, I'm also a general contractor, so I've built residential and some commercial as well. And we have a lot of conversations about the plans that come in. I heard some of you talk about it today, and it is true that when you have a general contractor, they're supposed to know that, you know, mechanical systems, fire systems, those all need to be designed and approved through the proper engineers. So if you think, if a lot of times, if the contractor isn't putting plans in that have been properly engineered, they're going to get kickback for comments. So if your contractor is not from the local area, if they're not from Florida, it's worth keeping a closer eye on them to make sure that they're staying on top of the permitting agencies and they're communicating. But a lot of the comments that come through and the plans that get kicked back are often getting kicked back because they don't have the proper engineering attached to them or completed. So that engineering is something that protects you folks. It's something that lets the vendors who are on the site doing the work know exactly how to do it. And if the plan doesn't have enough detail, it's going to delay your job. So I heard some of you say that you realize that and you're you know, catching up to it, but it is a real thing. So. And then on Riviera Club, again, Jim, thank you for your feedback. And letting us know how we're doing. I appreciate that. Ed with Harbor Point. I noticed you had said that you had some outstanding life safety issues. And I was texting with Jennifer on the temporary fire pump issue. So we've had some different associations that have come up and they're having delays with their fire pumps like everybody is with the bigger equipment. And we have given some variations where we can bypass that fire pump as long as the fire department can still hook to the system and be the fire pump when we get there. So if anybody believes that they're waiting on a fire pump leaves them no other issues, please reach out because there are other ways that we can help you keep moving forward. Ed, I heard you on the explosion hazard. So if we can meet afterwards, I'll give you my card and we can meet one-on-one and talk about those issues. We may be able to come up with some more refined guidance and then get it back out to everybody the same way we did the blast information earlier. And then if I missed anybody on any fire department questions, please raise your hand.
Morning. Thank you very much for hearing us. Bob Key with Harbor Point. I'm following up on Ed Smith's question on the fire life safety. Our issue right now is our fire life safety was completely wiped out, the generator, the pump room. Now we're being told that we have to build the whole system, raise it up 14 feet above ground instead of rebuilding what we have right there. My question is, why would we have to raise everything 14 feet if it originally was all on the ground? The pumps, the generators, all the fire life safety equipment.
Okay. Jennifer, do you want to, I know you'll give a more exact answer. Yes.
So not specifically can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so not specifically the generator, ours is more directed towards the fire pumps. And if he home, but building code or flood code may not allow it. So that's been the message from the start is, you know, we have to protect these. We lost basically every fire pump on the island, and that's not something we want to face again.
Got another fire department question? Come on.
My name is John Tuttle. I'm the president at
Hold on, John, wait till you get up.
I'm sorry. John Tuttle, I'm the president of the Sandcaper Association. So this issue of the fire pump is our one holdup. We're very fortunate. Insurance, all these other areas, we're in good shape. The fire pump, though, the code I've sent, and by the way, Jennifer, Chief Worth, you've all been very helpful. Bill, I can't commend you enough. But the fire pump, the code that I was given was NFPA 20.4.14.1. And it addresses what Jennifer just stated, the fire pump shall be protected. But part of that same code, and I think there could be some leeway here, it says based on what properties faced after Hurricane Ian, those cases where the authority having jurisdiction, I believe that would be Jennifer and yourself. It basically says, depending on the acceptable degree of risk. So there's some leeway there. What is the acceptable degree of risk? But it says the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to apply retroactively. Doesn't say they have to apply retroactively. So I know a number of associations I've talked to and deal with. I'm looking at right now a $250,000 new building, waterproof building. The submarine doors alone are $54,000. The other option is to build up. I have to go back. But that is the one item that is holding up my whole exterior process. I can't redo the pool until this building is figured out. So I would ask if there is a possibility in the code, and the way I read it, says those having jurisdiction shall be permitted to apply retroactively. It doesn't say that they have to. We have a pump sitting in a warehouse, brand new, ready to put in place, right where the one was before. I could have it there relatively quick, be back up and running. But right now I'm having to look at all these different options, and I know other associations are having the same problem. So I would just ask if there is a way, could we put it back in? Building's been there 50 years. We've never had an issue. I would just ask there be some maybe consideration for that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, you want to get to some of the questions that were directed? Oh, you got another one? Sorry, come on up. I didn't see you.
Thanks for your time. I'm Gary Becker. I'm from Palm Harbor Club on Linnell Road. One of the issues that I've heard people talk about right now is, the insurance is a big thing. The island got wiped out. You guys are doing a big deal here. I'm president of our fire department in our town in Ohio. I'm now a resident here because I spent the last 14 months here trying to help people get back in. We have $5.5 million worth of damage. We have $400,000 that was paid by the insurance company. Our problem is one other thing I've heard is we've exhausted all our reserves. So now we have to turn it over to an attorney to try to get our buildings repaired. My question is here. We put a new roof on one of the buildings, spent an additional $70,000 to raise the AC units another 12 inches up off the roof. We have a 6-foot parapet wall on an 8-story building. Our AC units now sit above the roof, above the parapet wall. When the Fort Myers inspectors came to look at the roof, nobody could answer the question, why did we raise those units up when we put a new roof on our building? The next one was our simplex system went out on one of our buildings that really didn't have a whole lot of interior damage. So we had to replace our simplex fire alarm system. But we had to bring it up to today's code. That was an additional $74,000. Matter of fact, I should be there right now because they're inspecting it. We had to change the alarm in every unit from outside the bedroom door to inside the bedroom door. Every unit had that. My question is, and we used all our reserves, so all our reserves are exhausted now. So now we just have to sit and wait for attorneys or do a huge assessment. Some of the things that I would like to see for the people down here in the rebuilding process is we have to take a look at, we're trying to rebuild it, not replace it. We're trying to repair it. I understand we should bring it all up to current code, but that wasn't the code in 2021 or 2001 when those buildings were completed. They're post-tension cable buildings. They withstood the storm very well. But we're spending all our money trying to improve the building rather than repair the building. And so that was just my comment. I appreciate everybody's help. It's a monumental job just for our 56 units, but I wish we could, now that I came to this meeting today, I wish I would have called the fire department and talked about this before we spent over $150,000 just to improve it. I want to repair it. I want everybody back. And right now we have 26 units that aren't livable yet because of that roof. So that was my comment. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
Okay. So I'm the town building official. I took notes in categories, so I'm going to address some categories and hopefully it hits everybody that's here. I've been here a little over a month. I'm still in discovery mode. And a lot of what I've discovered as far as permitting goes addresses your concerns. And I am in the process of a lot of correction so that permits get out right away, if possible. And you all get your lives back together. Some of the categories that I have written down real quick on the milestone inspections. We don't have to hurry on that issue. What I have discovered is since we already have a lot of engineer reports on these big buildings, they can be used as part of the milestone system that the legislation has started. Yes, there's a date that starts in 2024, but I think we're ahead of the game here because of what's happened to us. Occupancy requirements is a big one because people want to get back in their units. I've been getting that question almost daily over the phone or through emails. So the obvious things are egress, exiting the building during an emergency. That's important. That's where myself and the fire department, we work hand in hand. As long as the stairwells, the escape routes are working, that is one of the requirements. We got to have all of our fire protection in, which is sprinkler systems, alarm systems, things like that. Elevator, that's the big question. If we already have some people that are using stairs. To me, an elevator is not an exit. They shut down during an emergency. It's convenience, it's for accessibility. So I'm comfortable myself without an elevator, but again, what I've been saying since I've been here in these kind of situations on site visits, if the fire department's okay with it, most likely I'm going to be okay with it from the building code side. So we'll work hand in hand. One gentleman mentioned methods of compliance in the existing building code. I want you all to know the existing building code is one of my favorite resources and tools because it gives me as a state licensed building official leeway in how I can help people get back, how things can be put back like they were instead of brought up to current code, and it gives me some decision-making latitude. I'm working very hard in my reviews now to make sure that that happens. Sorry I wasn't here when all this first happened, but this is now coming to fruition. We're going to get this done. So methods of compliance in the existing building code, I can help you all put it back like it was instead of new code. Permit turnaround, we're working on that. That's in the process of turning around now. I'm getting the permits out for you. Relaxing the requirements on cabinets and trim. I can help you there also. If it's just cabinets and it's just trim, then we can work a way out where a permit will not be required. But if there's electrical involved and if there's plumbing involved, I have to require a permit for obvious reasons. But if it's, I'm sorry? No, if it's just finished materials and nothing else, nothing is being changed around, no walls being changed around or anything like that, I can work with that. But I have to know that that's what's going to go on. No, I have to know that you all will come forward and say, hey, we had a revision. We're going to put this in. We're going to put that in. I need your help on that because I want a good working relationship with our people, and I will help you if you do that. I don't want to beat you up. I want to get you back in. So I will start working on that right away, and I welcome phone calls and emails. If you have questions on whether I'll require this or that, just I'm there for you. You can contact me.
Joe, before we move on, could you just give out your email if you wouldn't mind so that those listening know how
Yes.
to?
See, it's new. So J Specht, spell my last name SPECHT at fmbgov.com. I can also work with owner builders in doing their own condos. The owner builder requirement is not a local requirement. The owner builder exemption, it's a state requirement. So, and the touchy areas are if it's a LLC or a trust or something like that, that's usually where you're not allowed to take the exemption. So that's where most people are getting turned away. You will sign an affidavit as an owner builder attesting to you understanding and agreeing to the state requirements. And under that affidavit, you will be issued a permit. So our permitting department is going to ask those questions, whether it's a trust or an LLC or a corporation. That won't be allowed according to the state. But I will work with you if you're just if you meet the requirements for the exemption. Obviously, if you meet the requirements, there's a cost threshold. In the condo, it'll be $70,000 or less in cost. And if you meet those requirements, you can have the owner builder permit exemption. I will be happy to walk anyone's building with them. One gentleman requested an inspector to walk the building so you would know what it would take or if there's any issues that might slow you down. Building values. I know it's one of the things I have discovered in my discovery mode in a lot of these permit applications that keep getting kicked back is all the requests for different things on appraisals and things like that. I have already started streamlining that issue. We have to know the value of the work. We have to know the value of the building. We are given not a requirement on how to get the value of the building, but we have leeway on how we estimate that. If I can estimate the value of the building without an appraisal, I won't require an appraisal. And again, I wish I would have been here at the beginning, but from here on out, that's what I can do for you. On the ones that have been kicked back because of appraisal requirements, a lot of those I have taken and reviewed them myself because I was comfortable with the building value already, and I've gotten those permits out. So I'm trying to help with that issue as someone who's just come on board. The ones that have been kicked back, they're